The FAA has cast a harsh spotlight on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, launching a new era of intense scrutiny for one of the world's most advanced commercial aircraft. Once celebrated for its cutting-edge design and fuel efficiency, the Dreamliner now finds itself at the center of a growing storm, as regulators and the public demand answers and accountability. The agency has mandated urgent modifications after a series of alarming incidents and a tragic crash, raising serious questions about the aircraft's safety record. These events have not only triggered emergency responses on the ground, but have also sent shockwaves through the global aviation community, prompting airlines and passengers alike to reconsider their trust in the Dreamliner. Once a symbol of technological prowess and innovation, the Dreamliner now faces mounting scrutiny over its manufacturing quality, production oversight, and the promises made about its safety. Investigations have revealed lapses in quality control and raised concerns about whether the rush to innovate came at the expense of reliability. The latest FAA rulings are the culmination of a long, troubling history, shaking airline boardrooms and passenger confidence. Executives are grappling with difficult decisions, while passengers question whether their journeys are as safe as they once believed. At the heart of the crisis are two critical systems: the pilot seat and the passenger oxygen supply, each exposing catastrophic vulnerabilities that could have life-or-death consequences in an emergency. These flaws have forced a re-examination of every aspect of the Dreamliner's design and operation. The FAA's swift, decisive response has forced Boeing and airlines into costly, complex compliance, signaling that the status quo is no longer acceptable. Engineers and inspectors are now working around the clock to address the issues, knowing that the world is watching their every move. The conversation has shifted from technical specs and performance metrics to the very foundation of trust between manufacturers, regulators, and the public. Restoring that trust will require transparency, accountability, and a renewed commitment to safety at every level. The Dreamliner's troubles mark a pivotal chapter in aviation safety, with repercussions that will shape the industry for years to come. As the world watches, the lessons learned from this crisis will define the future of flight and the standards by which all aircraft are judged. The Dreamliner's reputation suffered a major blow in March 2024, when a terrifying incident shook the aviation world. A LATAM Airlines 787, cruising at altitude, suddenly pitched nose down without warning, sending passengers and crew into chaos. Over 50 people were injured, some seriously, as the aircraft plunged before the pilots regained control. The event made international headlines, raising urgent questions about the safety of one of the world's most advanced airliners. Investigators quickly zeroed in on the cockpit, where they discovered a broken cover on the pilot seat's rocker switch. In a moment of routine service, a flight attendant had accidentally triggered the exposed switch, causing the captain's seat to lurch forward and jam him into the controls. This sudden movement forced the aircraft into a steep dive, leaving everyone on board shaken and injured. What seemed like a freak accident soon revealed a deeper, systemic problem. As investigators dug deeper, they found that damaged or missing switch covers weren't unique to this one aircraft. In fact, similar issues were discovered across the global 787 fleet, from Asia to Europe and North America. The design flaw was now a worldwide concern, with airlines and regulators scrambling to assess the risk. The FAA responded with an unprecedented sense of urgency. In a rare move, the agency issued an immediate directive. All US-based 787s had to be grounded for inspection, and any faulty seat switch components had to be replaced before the aircraft could return to service. The directive sent shockwaves through the industry, grounding dozens of planes and disrupting schedules worldwide. The urgency of the FAA's action underscored just how severe the risk was. A single, seemingly insignificant part, a plastic cover on a seat switch, had the potential to cause catastrophic loss of control. It was a stark reminder that in aviation, even the smallest components can have life-or-death consequences. Airlines around the world scrambled to comply, pulling dozens of Dreamliners from service for urgent inspections and repairs. Maintenance crews worked around the clock, and flight schedules were thrown into disarray. The incident highlighted how a minor oversight in design or maintenance can quickly escalate into a crisis affecting thousands of passengers. The seat switch debacle became a wake-up call for the entire aviation industry. It forced airlines, manufacturers, and regulators to re-examine their safety protocols and design standards, and to ask tough questions about how such a flaw could go unnoticed for so long. But for Boeing and the Dreamliner, this was only the beginning. The seat switch crisis was just the first of two major regulatory blows to hit the 787 in 2024, shaking confidence in the aircraft's safety and reliability. The next regulatory challenge would target an even more fundamental safety system, one that lies at the very heart of the Dreamliner's advanced technology. In September 2025, the FAA issued another sweeping directive aiming to enhance passenger safety across the aviation industry. This time, the focus was on the Dreamliner's passenger emergency oxygen system, a critical component for in-flight safety. The problem identified was kinked oxygen supply tubes. These kinks, often caused during installation, could block airflow to passenger masks in a decompression event, posing a significant risk. The risk was simple but deadly. At 35,000 feet, a blocked mask could mean hypoxia within seconds, leading to unconsciousness or even death if not addressed immediately. Airlines were given 36 months to inspect and repair 119 US-based 787s. This timeline was a compromise between the urgency of the issue and the operational realities faced by airlines. The mandated fix was to replace the entire oxygen panel assembly if any fault was found. This approach aimed to streamline repairs and reduce the potential for human error during maintenance. While the cost of these repairs was relatively modest, the reputational damage to Boeing was far greater, casting a shadow over the company's commitment to quality. The need for such a directive on a relatively new fleet raised serious questions about Boeing's quality control and manufacturing processes. The Dreamliner safety narrative was unraveling, leaving both the public and industry experts questioning the future reliability of this once-celebrated aircraft. These regulatory actions were triggered by real-world disasters, not theoretical risks. The LATAM nosedive exposed a mechanical flaw that demanded immediate action, but the crash of Air India Flight AI 171 in June 2025, killing 241 people, cast an even darker shadow over the Dreamliner. While the cause remains under investigation, the tragedy intensified scrutiny and forced regulators to act decisively. India's aviation authorities ordered urgent maintenance on all 787s, and global regulators faced mounting pressure. In this climate of fear, even minor flaws, like kinked oxygen tubes, became urgent priorities. The industry was on high alert and regulators left nothing to chance. The FAA's directives were driven by the need to prevent catastrophic failures, immediately. For the seat switch, airlines had to inspect and replace any damaged assemblies before returning aircraft to service. The goal: eliminate the most obvious vulnerabilities while Boeing works on a permanent fix. For the oxygen system, the FAA required visual inspections and full replacement of any faulty mask assemblies. The 36-month window balanced safety with operational realities, but the message was clear. No risk, however rare, would be tolerated. These protocols prioritize speed, clarity, and reliability over patchwork repairs. The FAA's stance: better to replace entire modules than risk a missed flaw. The FAA's rulings forced airlines into costly, disruptive action, pulling 787s from service for urgent inspections and repairs. Even with modest direct costs, the operational headaches were significant, as maintenance schedules were upended. For Boeing, the stakes are even higher. Each directive is a public indictment of its design and manufacturing. The company faces pressure to engineer permanent fixes, overhaul quality control, and support airlines through the crisis. Boeing is also financially liable for many of these repairs, deepening the impact. Publicly, Boeing pledges cooperation. Privately, it's a race to restore trust and trace flaws through a complex supply chain. The repeated lapses have eroded confidence, and Boeing is now under intense scrutiny from all sides. The company's reputation and future hangs in the balance. The FAA's actions have amplified industry-wide anxiety, fueling calls for deeper reform. Safety advocates and pilot unions see these flaws as symptoms of systemic problems in manufacturing and oversight. The fact that a critical seat switch flaw went undetected for years is deeply unsettling. Pilot unions demand more rigorous oversight and proactive engineering, not reactive fixes. For passengers, headlines about Dreamliner safety erode confidence and influence travel choices. Airline executives are frustrated by disruptions and reputational damage. Safety experts warn of a cultural problem at Boeing where speed may have trumped quality. The entire aviation safety network is now under the microscope, with every stakeholder demanding accountability and change. The 2024 and 2025 directives are just the latest in a long saga of Dreamliner troubles. Since its debut, the 787 has faced production delays, groundings, and recurring quality scandals. The 2013 global grounding over battery fires was just the beginning. Subsequent years brought issues with fuselage gaps, stabilizer defects, and even water leaks threatening electronics. Each new problem led to delivery halts and further scrutiny from regulators. The pattern is clear. Boeing has struggled to maintain consistent quality on its flagship jet. The FAA's patience has worn thin, and its recent actions are a regulatory assertion of authority. The Dreamliner's history is now a cautionary tale for the entire industry. The path forward for the Dreamliner and the industry is daunting. Airlines face years of mandated inspections and repairs. Boeing must overhaul its quality culture and regain trust. True recovery will require transparency, accountability, and a sustained period of flawless performance. Regulators are likely to tighten oversight, ending the era of self-certification and demanding more rigorous checks. The relationship between manufacturers and regulators is being fundamentally recalibrated, with public safety as the top priority. The Dreamliner's turmoil is a stark reminder. Aviation safety is a relentless, ongoing process. For passengers, these reforms are both unsettling and reassuring. The system is working to correct its course. The future of the Dreamliner and public confidence in air travel depends on whether these hard lessons lead to lasting change.